Everybody. This is Amfro with the Yams Talk Show here at FIG Productions. Today is Wednesday, January the 23rd, 2019. And this is my weekly special edition. I think I'll be doing this once a week going forward with so much going on in politics and around the world. Today we're going to talk about the recent announcement from a California Senator, Kamala Harris, who announced on Monday, Martin Luther King's Day, that she is putting in her hat to run for president in 2020. And so I know nothing about her. I've been doing my research on her. I want you guys to tell me what you guys have found about her. If you've gone to her Facebook page or her website or on YouTube, or if you know citizens of California or you live in California, there's a lot of pros and cons about her. We're not going to name bash her in any way because that's not what we do here at the Yams Talk Show. We don't. Yes, it is. It's a hi, poet. This is a Q&A show. Yes, it is. Today I am the host. I don't have a guest. We are talking today about the recent announcement from California Senator and Democrat Kamala Harris, who announced that she is running for president in 2020. I knew nothing of her. I think she has a lot of courage. She has a lot of courage to run for president today. Anybody does, truthfully. After the Obamas left office with all the grace and dignity and scandal and ridicule and name calling that they were put through, as were previous presidents and first ladies prior to social media and the age of technology. So for someone to come forward now and want to put their life and their families' lives under constant 24-hour scrutiny from everybody from around the world, it takes courage to do that. So I do want to say thank you, Kamala, for having the courage, whether you win or not or get the Democratic vote to run against President Trump in 2020, for having the courage to put your life through this and all the scrutiny that you've already received, Kamala. My hat go off to you and here at FIG Productions and the Yams Talk Show, because you've got to be a brave person today to to run for office and to try to stand for something or change something in today's social media world. It takes courage, my sister. So as a woman of color, as a woman, period, to throw her hat into the ring, whether she loses or not, and whatever your opinions are about her, good or bad, she's not going to be a savior. No president is, not even Obama and none of the others. We've got to get out of that savior mentality and where we have to agree with someone wholeheartedly on every issue, because we're not. That is part of the problem, in my opinion, is that we want somebody to save us. The White House can't save us, y'all. The president can't save us. It is our choices about how we live our lives and how we are connected to a higher power, whether you call that higher power, as I do, God the Creator, Jesus the Savior, Allah, whatever. If you're not connected and in line, the White House can't save you. You've got to go a little higher, much, much higher in your daily life, in your beliefs, in your practices, because the White House can't save us, you guys, no matter. Even voting, in my opinion, which we have the right to vote, I do believe that there is an illusion to it that decisions have already been made. But I don't discourage anybody from voting. I still vote, even though I know I cast a higher vote to a higher ballot for my own life. But we're going to talk about that. A lot of people have signed on. Let me say hi to a few people. Rose McLean. Hi, Kenyon. How you doing, sister? Maureen Campbell. Poet Rockets, I like your name. Hi, Chauncey. Hi, Robin Allen. Poet Rocket says it's also about building together here on earth and use the wisdom we are blessed with. Oh my God, you just said something powerful, poet. You must be a poet like me. it is about building together. And so I've done some research a little bit on her. I've gone to YouTube. There's a lot of negativity already, and we're like 48 hours into her since she announced that she's running for president. There's all kind of wickedness out there already. We've got to understand that no matter who she is, whether she's Democrat or Republican, in this particular instance, she is a Democrat. And I'm no longer Democrat, nor am I Republican. I want to vote for the best person possible. I've given up the allegiance to be classified and put inside a box to be defined whether I am a Christian or a Muslim or atheist or Buddhist or Democrat or Republican. I'm sick of that shit. Yeah, I said it. I'm no longer going to allow politics and policies to define me. I want to make my own choices, and I'll vote for who I want to vote for. And I don't really care if they are Republican or Democrat or independent or liberal or so many classifications I can't even keep up. I want to vote for who I think in my soul, as I educate myself about who they are and what their fundamentals are. I'm not looking to vote for someone who is perfect or someone who agrees with everything that I believe or I think is right or wrong, because there's no way for one person to meet the needs of everybody and agree with everybody. We here as a society have got to learn that disagreements are what divides us, because we don't know how to agree to disagree. Everybody's not going to always believe what you believe, think what you think, feel how you feel. But the beauty, what we're missing is that in those disagreements, instead of fighting and separating and all the hatred that's breeded, that comes from it, we need to learn from our disagreements. Nobody's 100% right. Nobody's 100% wrong. There's nobody perfect. There's no one perfect that's ever going to be in the White House. But if you are living your life in a divine order, because you're not perfect, but you'll understand that it's okay to reach across the room and say, I love you to somebody that you don't agree with, that does not look like you, does not believe like you do, that does not think like you do, and see what you have in common. Because we all have some commonalities in life, and those are, we all are born here on earth. Hi, Kim. We all have the same needs. We all need oxygen in the sun, and we are of the earth. We all need each other. And so if we understand that as long as the basic things are covered, what you do with your personal life, how you live your life, what you believe in, I can learn from what I believe in, you can learn from. If we stop allowing disagreements to separate and divide us, and let those disagreements educate us and bring us together, we could be a better place. We could be a better world. So I want to know what you guys know about Kamala. I have a report here that I'm going to read a little bit from, that's from ABC News, that's about her. It's from the ABC News. Hi, everybody. Hi, Eugene. Hi, Richard Morrow. On the ABC News website, it says, Kamala Harris, the latest Democrat to run for president. Everything you need to know. Kamala, she announced on Monday that she's on the Good Morning America show that she would run for president in 2020. Before Harris was elected in 2016 as the junior senator representing California, she was the state attorney for 6 years and San Francisco's district attorney for 7 years. She was born to an Indian mother and a Jamaican father. In Oakland, Harris has a stroller-eyed view of the civil rights movement. Now she is, I'm gonna pause right there, because she has a Jamaican father and her mother is Indian. And I know that to some people, black and white, she's not gonna be white enough, she's not going to be black enough, or she's not going to be American enough because her mother is Indian and her father is Jamaican, yet she was born here in the United States, which makes her American. They did this to Barack Obama, as you guys remember, with when he was elected. Trump tried to say that he was not American because his father was African, and he has Barack Hussein Obama tried to say he was Muslim, which it shouldn't matter if he was Muslim or not, because why does a Christian have to run the White House, in my opinion? We need some other, if America is a land of freedom of religion, it's time for us to explore those other religions and accept who they are. But anyway, Harris has been compared to former President Barack Obama for quickly rising through the ranks of the Democratic Party and for having presidential ambitions after serving for just a short time in the Senate. So she has that in common with President Barack Obama. Harris has previously said she feels the country is ready to make history by electing a woman of color as president. Yay, yay. We need to give the American public more credit, she said on Good Morning America, when asked if the country was ready for a woman of color to be president. She says, quote, "We have so much more in common than what we have that separates us." That is the truth. We have more in common as a people than we have in what separates us by skin tone, complexion, ethnicity, and religion. Those are the things that separate us. And today it is sexual orientation that separates us too. That's become a high thing that separates people now. It says, here's what you need to know about Kamala Devi Harris. She's 54 years old. She's from Oakland, California. Her party, her political party, is a Democrat. What she does now, she is a senator in California. She was elected in 2016. She serves on Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee, the Select Committee on Intelligence, the Committee of the Judicial, and Committee on the Budget there in California. Hi, Tricia. Hi, Trina Hall. We're talking today about the recent announcement of California Senator Kamala Harris, who is a woman of color, throwing her hat to run for president today. I want to know your thoughts. Do you know her? What do you think about the possibility of a woman of color even being elected by the Democratic Party to actually run up against President Trump for the 2020 presidential election here in the United States? What Kamala used to do, she served as the Attorney General of California from 2011 to 2017. She served as the District Attorney of San Francisco from 2004 to 2010. Prior to that, Harris worked as San Francisco's City Attorney, Lois reigned as the Chief of the Community and Neighborhood Division, and she was a Deputy District Attorney in Alameda County there in San Francisco. She attended Howard University and received her law degree from the University of California in Hastings. Wow, she has been in politics for quite some time, you guys. She's very well educated. She's written, I think, 2 or 3 books. I meant to print the book covers out, but go on Amazon.com. She's written some political books. I plan to read it so that I can get to know her better, because I do want to know who I'm voting for. Like I said, I don't believe we all have to agree, but I do want to know what she stands for. I saw on YouTube where there's some pros and cons where people said that she didn't lock up, arrest, I think, some police officers for killing somebody or something like that. And I don't want to get it wrong because I didn't write it down. There's some opposing views out there. We need to listen to those opposing views, but we need to also look at the good she's done, and we need to really have a conscious and critical conversation about, is she good for the country, and not hold the bad things or the things you don't agree with against her. We need to give her a fair chance, you guys, because whoever runs for Trump is putting your lives and their whole family's lives under such scrutiny, hatred, and oh my God, all the evil that comes out and that has come along since Donald Trump has been put in office, you guys. We're back in an evil state here in America, as we can see every day. I do want to read some more comments here. Poet Rocket says, Kathleen, I think, well, let's go back to Kathleen. Kathleen Furlow Harris says, does she support prison reform? Because according to information I've read, she was pro-prison. If she is not for total prison reform, I cannot. I respect that. And it has something on here about that too. And what I read, I'm not sure if it's in this ABC report that I read. It may be on another website that I read, where she is pro-prison. And that means pro-prison means that she is for incarcerating more of our people. And we all know that there are more brown and black people incarcerated than there are Caucasians people men and women being incarcerated today. We also know what I want to find out as I research about her, and we'll be having a couple more shows about her as I get to know who Kamala is, because the prison reform really is a big issue here, because if you guys know or don't know that the prison systems are being privatized, which means corporate America is now buying the prisons. That's why the huge mass of brown and black brothers, in particular, women too, are being incarcerated because corporate America, your Fortune 500 companies, this will be free labor for them. The more men, strong men, black men, young men who are incarcerated, when the prisons own the jail systems, you guys, that's free labor. All they'll have to do is pay for the 3 meals a day and a cot and the health care or whatever there. And the jobs that you and I have now, the prisoners will be doing them for $1 a day or less in some cases, depending. So we really do need to know her views and do some research and go to her Facebook page and ask these questions, you know, and get to understand, is she about incarcerating more people, building more prisons, selling the prison system? We need to think about those things, because that is a true concern for me. Why so many of our brown and black brothers are locked up. That's why women like us who are single and black don't have any men today, because so many of them are incarcerated, and they are incarcerated for long terms, you guys. And so that's one good point. Thank you for that, Kathleen. Trina Hall has joined. Ben Blaze, Poet Rocket says, Kathleen, I think the reform bill needs to be revised. Non-black individuals are locked up for transporting massive drugs by planes, boats, and jets. The bill is to release the heavy hitters. Wow. The bill is to release the heavy hitters. The reform bill should include only low-level drug charges. That is something that, Rocket, I tell you what, why don't you do some more research, and when we have the show again, you come back with more findings on that, because I'm interested in that too. I'm going to do some research on that. Rocket says that this prison reform that Kamala support needs to be revised. She says that non-black individuals are locked up for transporting massive drugs by planes, boats, and jets. The bill is to release the heavy hitters. Wow. The reform should include only low-level drug charges. I do know that in California, and I didn't keep up with this, it's been some years ago, they had the 3 strikes rule. And I think that 3 strikes rule was, if a drug dealer was locked up for 3 times, that 3rd time that he would get like 20 to life or something like that. And they were trying to get rid of the 3 strikes rule. So educate us about that a little bit more. I'll do some research too. We need to know these kind of things. We need to know where she stands on a lot of issues, you guys. Some people are not going to like the fact that she is pro gay marriage. And that she was, I saw an interview on YouTube or a YouTube video where she was either at the service of the first gay couple to get married in California, or she married them. I can't remember. I saw that last night. I personally, when it comes to gay marriage, I'm on the fence on it because I'm single and couldn't get married. If homosexual people want to be married, God bless them. Somebody needs to love somebody, because us Black women, we're lost here. So I don't judge them because I don't know in my own family if my grandson or my nieces and nephews, if it hadn't knocked on your door, it is going to. And I don't want to stop loving somebody that because of their sexual orientation. That is my opinion. I have come to the conclusion that love is love. And I don't like seeing it displayed. I think that the kids today, there's a reason why more and more kids today are homosexual. It used to be where you knew a little boy or a little girl every blue moon. You could tell when they were little that they were going to be that way. We didn't understand it. But now it is so prevalent that I'm doing my own research to understand homosexuality, because I don't want to be hating on people for who they love and who they want to be with. I don't want to do that. That's just me. I want to understand it because it's here to stay, and none of us knows when it's going to knock our door down. So I don't judge. So if that's what she wants, but if that's a problem for you, you need to research that, because she is pro-gay marriage. I think you love who you love at this point in my life. Let's see who was. Hi, Jerica. Jerica from Detroit sent me a video of a young man. He was so angry. Jerica, if you could post that video on my page, I'd like for you to do that. He was talking about, it's a Black guy in California. He was talking about really bad, bashing Kamala about some of the things, the laws that she helped to pass in California. And most of them were about the prison, about the police shootings, and about not letting the policeman go to jail or something like that. I did see that. He was so angry that I just like, okay, Jerica, I couldn't watch it all. Yeah, post that on my page, Jerica, so people can see it. Poet Rocket says, in Mississippi, they have one that pays 86 cents a day. Is that a day? I'm sure that's a day, not an hour. Poet says that there's a jail in Mississippi. Can you tell me the name of the jail in Mississippi where they pay 86 cents a day? And if you know the jail, I'm going to look it up and see who owns it, because now you can find out what private companies own what jail systems, you guys. We do know that we are headed back into slavery. We are enslaved, truthfully. We've never been free, honestly. In my opinion, we have the illusion of freedom, like we have the illusion of the right to vote. America is still a country that has indentured servants. Yes, we are. Every day we go punch in corporate America, we are an indentured servant. We have the illusion of freedom here in America. We're not shackled. But before they took the shackles off our ancestors, they shackled their minds so that we would be enslaved for generations and generations to come. So we've got to understand our freedom here in America. We've got to understand that until we become free ourselves, free in our thinking, free in our beliefs, free in our thoughts, free in our actions to be responsible and aware and not just fall and follow and frequent any and everything. That's when you are free. When you can think for yourself, you are free, brothers and sisters. And we are not in a country now, in a world today, we're thinking people today, because of technology, because of all the convenience, I call it, we've been seduced by convenience. And because of all of the conveniences that give us the illusion of freedom, we think we're free. When truthfully, you become addicted to something that has control of your mind where you don't want to think anymore. And so we've got to get back to thinking. Some of us will be thinking for the first time, and we're raising our kids to not think, to believe that everything just comes easily, that food is just at the grocery store, that money is in the teller or on a credit card, that knowledge is in a computer and they don't have to read and think and know things automatically, you guys. That is the prison that we're in now. We're in a prison for our minds, you guys, and have the illusion of freedom. Poet says, hi, Lisa. Poet says, we have not been legalized nationwide, which means it will be easy to become jailed again, which will more likely be African Americans, and the heavy hitters are Black working in a corporate America. Why not legalize weed? We're going to talk about that. If you have created a reform bill to release individuals for low-level drugs, there's more to this reform bill. Again, I believe it needs to be revised. Yes, it does. Honestly, I believe the whole Constitution of the United States needs to be revised. Yes, I do. I said that. The whole Constitution, the right to liberty, freedom, and justice for all needs to be revised, you guys. That's how I feel. Hi, Latasha, my cousin in Detroit. Tell me what you know. What do you think? You guys, what do you think about Kamala running for African American? She's not African American. By no means is she African American, because her mother is from India and her father is from Jamaica, which could be by way of Africa. But I personally hate being classified as an African American. I've never seen Africa. I was born, I was conceived and born like you guys were here in America. I'm an American. I love Africa, but I've never been. I'm trying to learn more about my Africans' religious practices and beliefs and understand where I come from. However, I believe that Black people in America who were born in the 1900s up to now, at least they are Americans. We are Americans. We need to drop the African part, in my opinion. I am an American. From Africa, my great somebody was from Africa who was brought here against his or her will. But I myself, and you guys too, we were born here on United States soil. And so that's a whole nother subject. Let's see, Rocket says, laugh out loud, I agree with you. The whole thing needs to be revised. The whole Constitution of the United States of America needs to be revised, because we're holding on to values that we're not even holding on to, that we don't even understand. America says, celebrates on the 4th of July its independence from England. And this is just one of my things, you guys. It's independence from England. That's the day that we're supposed to reclaim our freedom from the English, British slave masters. Yet, and you guys can get mad at me about that, yet we kept the teachings of King James. We kept the language of Shakespeare. Yes, we did. Thus thou art. That's Shakespeare. And don't believe me, Google it. Just Google it. So we did not claim our religious freedom because we kept King James. Africans, we don't even know our religious beliefs that came from Africa, because when we got over here, our ancestors, they divided them so that they would not be together and practice the religious beliefs and the languages and the tribal things that they did in their homeland. We become Europeanized. That's who we are today. We're Europeanized through the teachings of etiquette and religion and business and government and politics and fashions from Europe. Don't believe Afra, go Google it. We're European Americans at best. We don't even know our African beliefs or practices, the healings and how they lived off of creation and revered the sun, the moon, the stars, and all of that. They told us to not do that. They beat us and whipped all of those beliefs in creation out of us and told us that a white man was God. Yes, they did. And you guys can get mad at me if you want to, but don't take my word for it. Go Google it and see what you find out. We have been Europeanized here in America. The governmental system, the political system, we just don't have the king and queen and the whole monarchy that the British have. But that's what the president and the White House and the first lady, it mimics all of that. They have lords and bishops and sirs and jokers and whatever in the hierarchy of Britain. We have those same things here. We just don't call them by those names. We call them the president. Hi, Cindy. Cindy, my sister, says, Happy 4th of July. I love it. A Jew, L-I-E, lie. Say that, sister. She's enlightened like I am. She's awake. Thank you, Cindy. But those are some things. But we're here. We have to live by the rules of society, the governing of our government. And our government really governs too much of our lives, in my opinion. The whole banking system, the whole corporate system. One of the things that I'm tired of, and I hope that we can get not just a president in office, but to get both sides of the table, the Democrats and the Republicans, to come to understand that education is in America is a lie. We've been educated, given little education in our public schools, and the books that we've had historically and the knowledge of history. We've been taught so little, and we've been miseducated more than anything in the world, to me. This miseducation is that you need this college education to get a good job. The American dream. I believe the American dream is a lie. Go to school, get a good education. Education that was given to us by white people, the Caucasians. They are the ones who educated us, educated our ancestors. They had the books that we could read. They taught us the history that they wanted us to believe. They told us about the math, but they didn't give us the kind of education that would empower us. Because truthfully, you guys, the same people that educated us, our ancestors, are the same people that enslaved them. So what better way, if you've got to free the slaves and you've got to educate them too, are you going to make sure they have the best knowledge, the best books, the best reading, the best math, the best classes, teach them who they are, how to connect to God for themselves? No, you're going to give them a minimal education and tell them that they have to go through their system to be accredited, to be approved, to get a job. And then they put a price tag on college to make the boundaries higher and higher, more unobtainable, so that we can't reach it. And every time we reach the bars that they set for us, they raise the bar even higher, meaning they raise the requirements, they raise the cost. And we always rise to the occasion, and they rise it a little higher. And here we are today, where people are graduating from college in $40,000 or more of debt and can't get a good job, was taught to major in some form of business so that they can go and help some other business make some money instead of being in business for themselves. Nothing in our education system even taught us that our lives are a business and we are the CEO. You are the CEO, and I'll be doing a series on that on the Yams show. But we need to reform education. in my opinion. In my opinion, our churches, our Black community in particular, we need to pull our children out of public schools, educate ourselves. We use technology for what it's worth today, the information age. We have the power now to educate ourselves. I'm educating myself. I know so much now, my head hurts. And I learn something new every day, and I try to teach my nieces and nephews so that they won't go through life thinking that they have to get in this kind of debt to go work for someone else and not be happy. The pursuit of happiness is a lie in America, in my opinion, because happiness is a state of mind. It's not something you pursue. It's something that you live, that you walk, that you accept. So those are the things that I believe we need to revise here in America. That education system, which is for business, the healthcare system. Obama, he tried really hard to reform and revise the healthcare system and make it affordable. And you see the hell that he caught. And I still don't know. I tried to get some affordable healthcare a few months ago when I left my job, and I couldn't afford it. I couldn't afford it. It was so much to go through. I didn't even know what to do. But I really thought that he was trying to make it to where, this is what I thought when President Obama took office. I thought that what he was really trying to do was make it so that you wouldn't have to work in corporate America, because that's why most people work in corporate America, to get affordable health care. Because if you didn't work and were not under the umbrella of a corporate system or a business, then you couldn't afford health care as an entrepreneur or sole proprietor because it was so high. Now, some people say the Obama Act has worked for them. I don't know, because I was overwhelmed by it. I was like, oh my God. I was getting phone calls from so many people. I didn't even know what the process was. And so, but we do need to have health care. I personally believe that we should be like Canada and some of the other states and countries in Europe. We should have the type of, they call it socialism or whatever. But why can't we as America have free health care and free education for every natural born citizen in the United States? Those are some of the things that I like to see changed in our country today. We pay enough in taxes. President Trump wants to spend $26 billion upwards to build a wall. Do you know how many people you could give free health care and education to for $26+ billion? Come on now, you guys. Those are the type of things that I think that gives us the illusion of freedom, the illusion of a democracy. When hypocrisy runs everything in this country. Hypocrisy runs a religion. Hypocrisy runs politics. Hypocrisy runs education. Hypocrisy runs the healthcare system. You know, hypocrisy when in healthcare, your insurance will cover prescription drugs, but the doctors won't tell you anything natural like turmeric to take. Or what do I take over there? Bragg's vinegar. When a healthcare system won't tell you anything about healing naturally from the earth, that is hypocrisy, you guys. Health, God gave us the earth for everything we need. But we have the hypocrisy and the bureaucracy of our government, no matter Democrat or Republican, saying that, oh, no, you go to the doctor, you got to be on a prescription. You can't take anything natural. The doctor's not going to tell you to heal. The doctor says, I'm going to treat you. If that's not hypocrisy in our democracy, I don't know what is. Let's read some more comments here. Hi, Latoya. Hi, Beverly. Hi, Beverly Harper, my #1 fan that watches every show. Thank you. Kimberly Brown, thank you. My sister Cindy says, think about it. Think about this. And tell a Black woman she can't raise a boy to be a man. That's what our society says, that a single Black mother cannot raise a Black boy to be a man. Well, I know for sure that can be done because I did. And she says, how can a white woman or man teach a black boy to be a man? Now, you know, Cindy, you just said something too, because I've heard Dr. Boyce talk about this, and a lot of black leaders now are talking about that. We send our kids, especially our young boys, to public schools, and they have white teachers because we don't have a lot of black male teachers, a few here and there. And how can we expect, if a black mother can't teach her son, how can a white Caucasian woman teach them anything? That is the truth, Cindy. That's something to think about. That's part of the political bureaucracy and hypocrisy that we live in. Our poet says, got a question. Are you from Mississippi or raised by a Mississippian? I'm one state connected to Mississippi. I was born and raised here in Tennessee, in Memphis. I'm from Fayette County, which I was born in Oakland, Tennessee, about 40 miles from Memphis. I'm a Memphian. So I don't know much about Mississippi law, but are you in Mississippi, poet? And what part of Mississippi are you in, poet? Let me know where you guys are from, you guys, because did you guys know anything about Kamala before now? I'm not big into politics, but I did think that since I'm doing a show to have some conscious conversation as we approach this election season, preseason, people throwing their hats in to run against President Trump. What do you think about President Trump? What do you think? How do you think he feels so far about this woman of color? Do you think him and his team are going to call her an ape or a monkey like they did our FLOTUS Michelle Obama? Because right now we are seeing and witnessing and living in a shameful time where the highest office in the land is as prejudiced and ignorant and racist as we've ever seen before ever in history, truthfully. I heard on the radio this morning on the Steve Harvey show, they played a clip of Bernie Sanders either yesterday or sometime this week talking about President Trump and how, and this is from Bernie Sanders, who is a Caucasian man as well, how he said that President Trump, that we now have the most racist president ever in history. Those were his words. And he went on to say a lot more things about President Trump. Even his own people now are jumping ship on him because he is, as we say in the black community, he's showing his ass. And he is, as Maya Angelou says, when people show you who they are, believe them. But that's where we are today. Poet says, yes, I'm near Oxford, Mississippi. So tell me about the name of the jail where you say in Mississippi that they pay 86 cents, poet. Tell me about that prison. I'm going to look them up because I'm also going to look up the prisons here in Tennessee to see what prisons, whether they're federal prisons or county prisons, what prisons are owned by corporate America and what corporations own those prisons, because there is a reason why brown and black men are locked up in the masses. There is a reason, you guys, and it's not all because of the crimes that they committed. It's that it's like capturing the most strong and intelligent and equipped men and giving them life sentences of 20 years and 30 years for petty crimes of peddling weed and drugs, which is illegal, I get you, but doesn't mean that they get that kind of time. It's a reason why they're being locked up for these long periods of time where the same Caucasian men are running free. Hi there, Latasha Lester Blake. How you doing? Thank you for joining. Give me some comments, you guys. What do you think about, do you think America is ready for a woman of color, a woman of Indian and Jamaican descent who was born on American soil, who grew up in Oakland, California? Do you think the Democratic Party is ready? Do you think the Republican Party is going to probably go through her life like it's a diary and pull out all the ugly and say all the most harmful things and hurtful things and throw darts and be evil like they did attack Barack Obama and Michelle. Do you think they're going to do the same thing to her or even worse? Because we do have a racist in office right now. What do you think? Do you think she has a chance, you guys? That's the question. My hat goes off to her because it takes a lot of courage. I'm sure she's made some decisions in her office as district attorney and senator that people in the state of California did not like and don't approve. I get that. You're not going to always agree with everything. I get that she's probably been in the fire a lot in her life, having to make decisions about other people's lives. But I'm not going to hold that against her. I'm going to give the sister some credit for being bold enough, being brave enough, being bodacious enough to say, you know what, I'm going to give President Trump a run for his money. Would you vote for her if she got the Democratic election overall? Would you vote for her? What do you think? Cindy, what do you say here, Cindy? Cindy says, 3 strikes and you're out. We have the Clintons to thank for that. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And I don't know if Tennessee has that 3 strikes and you're out law. But it was 3 strikes and you're out for people who were caught selling weed. We talk about, and I'm going to have a show about if I can get some courageous people to come on the show. I'm going to be talking about the pros and the cons of legalizing or not legalizing marijuana. And that should truthfully be one of the things that the president in this election in this next few years, really as a whole, we should vote on that, not just state to state, in my opinion, but it should be on the election ballot for all 50 states, truthfully. But there are pros and there are cons. I'm not a weed smoker. Honestly, I'm on the fence on that because I do believe that marijuana, I need to find out why is it called marijuana. I've got to do some research on that. But marijuana has some healing properties because the cannabis has some healing properties. I've talked to someone, he refused to come on my show, but he is a military vet and he has a lot of sicknesses, and he tells me that he buys marijuana and he actually chews it instead of smoking it. But he chews it and he says that it helps with him with all the inflammation. He has arthritis real bad and dislocated disc, a lot of illnesses, and he says it literally makes him feel good. He said to me that the problem is whether you chew it or smoke it or whatever, once it's into your lungs and into your blood system, it relaxes you so much that it impairs your cognitive thinking, which is called high. It puts you in an altered state. It's why people like to get high. It doesn't make you violent, it's not like crack or anything that will go make you steal, but you shouldn't drive or operate equipment because you are so relaxed and in an altered state. I think that that's why they don't want to legalize it, number one. Number two, I think that if they do legalize it, and they are legalizing it in a lot of states now, well, if you legalize it and the government starts to control the production and the growth and the sale of weed, it's going to become so high people can't afford it. It's going to be like prescription drugs. And once the government controls it, does the government now say, well, okay, now we're selling it. All the people who have been locked up and are locked up now, are we going to let them free now and expunge their records because we're now doing the very same thing that we locked those people up for? That would be hypocrisy at its best for the government to legalize marijuana and to start mass producing it and selling it, and you can buy it at your corner store and pay taxes on it, but yet there are people still locked up for selling a nickel bag or dime bag or a gram or however they sell it of marijuana. And if they do legalize it, will people still be able to grow it in their own backyards? And should it be government controlled? Should it be FDA approved and all of those things? Because now they have these marijuana crops or people selling marijuana that has all this synthetics in it that are killing people. How will you be able to know the difference? So it will have to be regulated in some way, but the only person that, person, if you will, government will have to regulate the sale of marijuana in some way, I guess. I'm not sure. But anyway, Poet says, I'm not a smoker. The government already controls it and have colleges that grow it. I didn't know that. However, it can be medically legalized nationwide. That's true. I know that Colorado has legalized it, and they have dispensaries out there, and they have people cooking brownies, and they have it in liquid form, the cannabis of it. So that's something to think about. I didn't know that they had colleges that grow it. Can you imagine going to school to get your degree in marijuana growing? Okay, Sharonda Denise has joined. Lisa Hurd says, I'm not a weed smoker, but if liquor is legal, there you go. Why not weed? I've been wondering that same thing too, because liquor, which is legal, and puts you in an altered spirit and an altered state where you lose your cognitive thinking skills and your ability to think logically and reasonably. Why not weed? That's a very valid point. I wonder why liquor and cigarettes are legal, because cigarettes are an addictive. The nicotine is addictive. That's a drug, but it's legal. But because it doesn't alter your thinking, your cognitive skills, it's still legal, and it's very, very, very profitable for this hypocrisy of a society that we live in called capitalism. Cindy says, I don't believe that the president is already chosen, but they have to give the feeling you're included in the process. More false hope. I agree with you, Cindy. To some degree, I do agree with you. I really do. Poet says, Ole Miss grows it. Ole Miss grows weed, Poet. Wow. You know any other colleges that grows weed? Do they grow weed as part of the curriculum, Poet? Is there a class or classes on how to grow, process, and sell weed at Ole Miss? I'd like to know how and why and what's the whole project on a college campus of them growing weed. Is it part of their studies? It could be. I'm not against it, and I'm not really for it. I just know that I probably will never get high. If I get an illness and the doctor tells me I got to go smoke some dope, I'm probably going to die. I probably could cook it in some brownies or put it in a liquid form, but I will never be able to smoke anything. I never will put any type of smoke into my lungs or my body. Poet says, if you recall, Coke included cocaine. That is the truth. Coca-Cola, hence Coke, originally was cocaine, my people. And right now, Coke, a Coca-Cola, and you can go out there on YouTube and look at these videos. You can use Coca-Cola or Pepsi or any carbonated soda, but Coca-Cola specifically. And if your battery has rust on it, you can pour some Coke on it and it will get the rust off of your battery. So if it will take the rust off of a battery, imagine what it's doing to your inside of your body. That's a whole nother good conversation that we're going to be having later on in the year. We're going to be talking about here at the Yams Show, processed foods run by the government. Because part of the slavery that I talked about earlier, you guys, that we are in today, and the illusion of freedom. When we gave up our power to raise our own animals, to grow our own foods, have our own vegetable gardens, work in the fields, plant fruit, plant vegetables, work in the yard, for the convenience and the illusion of freedom and that hard laborious work, we surrender our lives to the government, who now controls everything. Nothing is natural anymore. Prior to this industrialized world, when our ancestors who knew how to work the land and reverence the earth, they were healthy. They lived and ate off the land. Their medicines came from Mother Earth. But that to us is just slavery, to go in the field and plant a garden and have to work it every day and pull out the weeds and plow it up. And because of that, we are slaves to the system here in America. Slaves to the system because we're too damn lazy, myself included, to get outside and work the land, because I don't want to do that. But we'll go put in 8 to 10 hours on a corporate plantation because that's the illusion of the freedom that we have here in America. We'd rather go to the grocery store and get food flown in that has been processed, rather than raise our own chickens, our own cows, our own pigs, and plot and harvest and work the land so that we can eat healthy off Mother Earth. That is the slavery that we're in today, you guys, along with the fact that we've become technological slaves. Welcome, Marcus. We got a few more minutes, you guys. Poet says, from my understanding, the growth of weed there at Ole Miss supposedly is used for research and the sale to the selected individuals and doctors who have stores to sell it to their patients and clients. I'm going to look that up too. I'm going to look that up because I do like to research. That is something good. And I'm asking you guys to do some research. Find out what colleges, and she says Ole Miss now is growing weed for research. And I wonder how natural is the weed that they're growing. Are they using pesticides like they do in the agriculture industry now? And that's another topic and something that we need to talk about, and the government needs to control, because the government is not really running a whole lot. It is the Fortune 500 companies. When it comes to agriculture and our food, it is Monsanto that owns the rights and the patents to seeds, you guys. Seeds. How can you own a patent to the seeds that God created? But the agriculture system that grows the vegetables and fruit, the land is poisoned with all the toxic pesticides, and the fruit and the vegetables are injected with dyes and growth hormones to make them grow. That's why when you see an organic apple, it's hardly red, and then you see this big, twice the size red apple, and you think that apple is so beautiful and so good. It's because it's been poisoned. That big red juicy apple, and that apple that you see at the farmer's market where the local farmers have grown apples, or whatever it is, the difference is the local farmers didn't pollute and poison their crops with all the unnatural chemicals to make the pests go away, to make the fruit bigger. We're going to talk about GMOs, genetically modified organisms. Most people don't have a clue what that is. So that is the things that our government needs to help us with and control, but they don't, because the government is owned by the lobbyists for the big Fortune 500 companies. And the more we don't know how to do anything, and the more we rely and depend on our government for our health, our wealth, and our well-being by the foods we eat, and then we go to the doctors who are controlled by the government, who is controlled by the Fortune 500 pharmaceutical companies. Can't you see the cycle? you guys. We don't know how to make medicines. We don't know how to make salves. You know, I will be interviewing hopefully Dr. Champion here or his daughters, and we're going to talk about some of the things that here in Memphis we have a holistic pharmacist that you can go to and get natural things, natural salves. You remember when your great-grandma, your grandmama used to go and take some aloe and make some salve out of it, or take some different herbs and make teas and stuff like that? We don't know how to do any of that anymore. We don't, and so because we don't do any of that, we're slaves to the hypocrisy of our democracy. Poet says, I love this conversation, Poet. The government is now paying individuals to transition to organic crops because it's in demand. African Americans have specific grants that will provide free animals and equipment. You are so smart, Poet. I gotta look that up too. Poet says the government, the US government, is now paying individuals to transition. That means they're paying farmers who have crops, large crops, to transition from the pesticides and the GMOs that they've been using on the land to organic crops. And I'd like to know how they would do that, because the land has been poisoned. So how do you get it back into a natural, more organic foundation to start producing organic crops? That would be what I like to know, because that would have to take some time, because now more organic foods are in demand. African Americans have specific grants that will provide free animals and equipment. Poet, do you know where you go and apply for those grants that farmers would go apply, or can everyday citizens? You know, I'm going to try to start a garden this year. My concern is, I know I can't actually plant a garden. I have to do a raised garden, because when we spray our yards, you guys, to get our grass really green and keep out the weeds, and our houses are all connected, and, you know, your soil, no matter in your backyard, no matter how, if you've never poisoned it or sprayed it or anything, because your neighbors and your neighbors and your neighbors on both sides across the street and around the block, all of that's one soil. When it rains, it all comes together. So your yard will still be contaminated. So I'm going to do a raised garden this summer, just one, to get hopefully my dad's still living and he can still give me some tips. I want to do some tomatoes, you know, some little cherry tomatoes or real tomatoes. I want to do some cucumbers. I want to do some lettuce. I want to start out with a few things and learn and get out there, because if something catastrophic happens, I want to have something in some way to grow me some food or still survive, you guys, because it's coming. Lisa says, I agree. Chemicals is one of the reasons why life is so short. Amen. Oh, chemicals are in everything. Remember, people were living until they were over 100 years old? Yes. Now we are lucky to make it to 100. People are lucky if they can make it to 80, 70, 75. That makes us 10. That makes us 10 when we die. You're right. Chemicals. The government not gonna do it. Chemical companies are like the pharmaceutical companies. Chemicals are in everything. Everything. A poet says the USDA, and if you have 20 acres of land, you can get more help. Okay, I'm gonna go to the USDA site and research that, poet. And you do too, and inbox me what you find, because that's something that we need to do. We need to buy some land collectively and start community gardens. I put a questionnaire last week on my page. If there are any Black churches locally or wherever you live that have or teach, that have community gardens, that teach life skills like parenting, economics, investing, entrepreneurship, you know, and I got one or two. And I was just so sad, but I knew that there wasn't that many of people didn't post, but the greatest resource we have in the Black community are our churches, but we are so into praise and worship that we are not implementing and practicing any health, any consciousness, any life teachings that can sustain us if something happens, or that we can pass on to our children so that they'll be able to survive without all the conveniences of life. Poet says, in North Mississippi, most land that's not chemicals affected are owned by African Americans because we have abandoned farming. Yes, we have, which I believe is why there are grants that target African Americans. We have Black people, African Americans or Black Americans. You're right. We have abandoned farming because it was too much like what the slaves had to do. That's really the main reason why farming became taboo for us to work in the fields, because at the time during slavery and sharecropping in the Jim Crow era, Black people worked the land in slavery because they were enslaved to produce the fruits and the products of the earth and the animals for the Caucasian slave masters. And they got the scraps, which we call soul food. And then once slavery was over, the whole Jim Crow thing and the sharecropping was the same thing. So to us, it was, and as African slaves and the people down south migrated north, we stopped farming. Didn't want to be reminded of being whipped and beaten and raped in the fields. We went up north to freedom, where there were jobs in the factories. And we thought that that was a better life than working hard 12, 18 hours in the field. And as we migrated to freedom, we lost some freedom of the South, the natural herbs and the natural healing and reverence of the land and the bounty of it. We lost some freedoms and gained some freedoms as slaves migrated north and west. But they didn't know that at the time. Didn't know that another cycle of slavery was what they were escaping to, truthfully. Poet says, LOL, you just gave me a new piece to write and perform next month. I want to meet you, Poet. You got to come up to Memphis and come on the talk show. I'm a poet too. No one else has any comments, you guys? This has been a great conversation tonight about the upcoming presidential election. Trump has been in office now for 2 years, and it's 2019. We will be electing a new president next year, 2020. I think it's November is when we'll actually have to vote for a new president here in America. Do you think Trump will have a second term? Do you think that the evil will turn out in numbers and put him in office again? I can't imagine one. I keep saying I'm gonna move to Canada. But do you think that he'll be elected again no matter who runs against him? Or do you think that Democrats and Republicans alike and liberals and independents will all come together and say, you know what, I don't care who runs, we got to get Trump out of there? That's what I'm hoping will happen. No matter who runs, anyone almost is better than President Trump. We're about out of time here. Well, we are out of time. 1 hour has gone by really fast. I do thank you guys for coming on today and, you know, having this conversation. I'm going to do something next week based on what happens this week. I don't know if I'll come back on and talk more about what we find out about, I think she pronounces her name Kamala. I like her name. Yes, Poet, please, please, please. Inbox me your information. I'd like for you to come up here. Oxford, Mississippi is not that far, actually. I've heard Poet says, I've heard some Republicans say they will never vote Republican again. I have too, on YouTube and some of the news I've watched. Well, do we have to have, that's part of the Constitution that we need to eliminate, honestly. Why does there have to be Republican and Democrat and then independent and liberal? Why does there have to be so many categories and classifications? Why can't it just be the best man or woman who thinks that they can represent and run for office run, and it doesn't matter what side you're on? How can we be united when everything about America divides us? We're divided in so many ways. Oh my God. There's so much division in America that, to me, we almost need to drop the united part of our title and say the ugly states of America, or the ununified states of America, or the undignified, or something like that, because we are not united here in the United States. It is 8 o'clock, or a little after 8 o'clock. If there are no more comments, I do ask everyone that is sharing this, and I forgot to share it on my Facebook, my other pages here, I will. Please, if you're watching right now, and you are, I ask that you share this. I'm going to upload it on YouTube this weekend, along with some more shows. I'm trying to get all my shows uploaded on the Yams YouTube page, where you can see all the shows for the previous 3 seasons. I will be back on Sunday. My guest is going to be Rashonda Buchanan. She is the editor-in-chief of Two Unique magazine here in Memphis. Her and her organization are doing a lot for the community, to educate the community, to highlight and emphasize people who are making a difference, like the Yams show is. There are so many people like me who are using the gifts that God has given them to uplift, empower, and educate and help enlighten people. And that is all of our purpose. It's just different ways for each of us to go about doing it. So I'm also about to get on the speaking circuit. I'll be loading my a new Facebook page, just titled AMFRA, and put some of my motivational speeches out there. So if you or your church or your organization would like for me to come in and speak at women's conferences, all types of events. I don't talk about religion. I talk about empowerment and enlightenment, and how, as women, we need to look at the woman in the mirror and take inventory of her and ask ourselves, do we know the woman in the mirror? Do we love the woman in the mirror? And what is the woman in the mirror doing with her life? So I'll be putting all that out there. I got a lot I got planned still. I'm feeling so much better. The depression is being lifted. The flu is being lifted. I feel good. I'm in good spirits. God's got me. He's given me a lot to do, an assignment. So if you need a motivational speaker or someone to come in and do a workshop, I'll be doing a Yams workshop seminar for women here. I'm trying to get that together for either March, which is Women's Month, or either the beginning of April, where if you are in the Memphis area and you like to come out to the Yams Woman in the Mirror seminar and meet other women who are like you, and we answer questions and talk to each other to see how well do we know our strengths and our weaknesses, why we've made the mistakes we've made, and what we're doing to become better people, better women, better mothers, better citizens of society. So if nobody else has anything else to say, thank you. Lisa says, just found you. I will be following. Thank you. Join the Yams Facebook page, Yams Talk Show Facebook page, or send me a friend request on Facebook. Lisa, where are you from, Lisa Hurd? And how did you find me? Did it just pop up as a public, my video pop up as public and you clicked on me? Thank you so much. Poet says, I didn't want to choose a party last year, but I ran Democrat. I understand that. I voted Democrat last year too, but had Colin Powell won or ran, I would have voted for him, or Condoleezza. I'm no longer limiting myself and putting myself in a box. I'm not Christian. I'm not Muslim. I'm not atheist. I'm not agnostic. I'm not Buddhist. I'm not Jewish. I'm a child of God, period. So no more defining me. I'm not a Republican. I'm not Democratic. I'm not liberal. I'm not any of those things. I am a citizen, period. That's it. I'm not going to be defined by man's classifications anymore. So that is how I feel. Oh my God, Paul, you ran for mayor. Good for you. Good for you. Well, that does conclude my show for today. I got a lot to do, a lot of writing to do tonight. I will be back Sunday at 6 o'clock p.m. I hope to see you there. I hope you guys share this on your pages today. But I really do appreciate you guys for joining, and I will see you this coming Sunday, rather. This is Amphra at FIG Productions, home of the Yams Talk Show. I will see you guys on Sunday. This has been great. Thank you.